For years, Charlie Sheen seemed impossible to stop. Fame followed him, success surrounded him, and controversy never stayed far behind. Millions watched him rise, fall, recover, and fall again. But eventually, the noise became quieter. What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest stars reaches a point where the cameras stop rolling? The headlines fade, and the future suddenly feels uncertain. Behind the scandals, the interviews, and the public battles was a man facing consequences that could not be ignored. His story is not only about fame or mistakes. It is about identity, regret, survival, and the difficult question of what remains when a person can no longer outrun himself. As the years passed, Charlie Sheen found himself confronting something he had avoided for decades. And for many people watching from the outside, it felt as though an invisible sentence had finally been delivered. But was this truly the end of his story, or the beginning of something very different? Charlie Sheen entered life surrounded by cameras, movie sets, and famous faces. As the son of actor Martin Sheen, the entertainment industry was never a distant dream. It existed inside his own home. Growing up in a family connected to Hollywood brought both opportunity and pressure. Expectations often arrive quietly. A child learns that success matters, that achievement earns attention, and that failure can feel impossible to accept. As a teenager, Charlie developed confidence and ambition. He wanted to create his own identity rather than simply live under his father's shadow. Acting offered him that chance. When his early film roles began attracting attention, he quickly discovered the rewards of fame. Audiences admired his charm and natural screen presence. Directors saw potential. Opportunities continued to grow. Yet fame can sometimes arrive before emotional maturity. Young actors often receive praise long before they learn how to handle pressure, disappointment, or personal struggles. Behind the scenes, Charlie experienced the same fears many young people face. Questions about identity, expectations, and belonging remain present. But success often hides these struggles from public view. The entertainment industry rewarded confidence. Vulnerability remained hidden. As his career gained momentum, very few people imagined that the young actor standing at the beginning of his dream would eventually face some of the darkest moments of his life. The world saw a rising star, but another story had already begun beneath the surface. The late 1980s and early 1990s transformed Charlie Sheen into one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors. Success arrived quickly, and with it came wealth, attention, and influence. His performances made him a household name. Audiences connected with his energy, confidence, and rebellious spirit. Producers trusted him. Studios invested in him. To many observers, Charlie appeared to have achieved everything. But success often creates a dangerous illusion. When praise becomes constant, a person can begin to believe that consequences no longer apply. Psychologists often describe fame as an environment that changes normal boundaries. The rules that affect ordinary people can begin to feel distant. Mistakes become easier to justify. Warning signs become easier to ignore. As Charlie's career expanded, reports of personal struggles slowly appeared. Substance use, difficult relationships, and troubling behavior occasionally reached the public. Yet professional success continued. Each new project seemed to confirm that his career could survive anything. This created a cycle that became difficult to escape. Problems emerged, but success provided temporary protection. The emotional cost, however, continued to grow. Living under constant attention can create loneliness. Public admiration does not always produce private happiness. In some cases, it creates greater pressure to maintain an image that no longer reflects reality. Charlie remained one of Hollywood's brightest stars. But behind the success, deeper struggles were beginning to take hold. And eventually, those struggles would become impossible to hide. As the years passed, Charlie Sheen's private struggles increasingly became public events. Headlines began focusing less on his work and more on his personal life. The public often sees celebrity difficulties as entertainment. Newspapers, television programs, and gossip outlets followed every development. Mistakes became stories. Personal struggles became headlines. For Charlie, this created a difficult cycle. The pressure of public attention can intensify emotional problems. A person facing challenges may feel trapped between private pain and public judgment. Every setback becomes visible. Relationships experience strain. Professional concerns grew. Friends and family sometimes expressed worry. Success had once protected him, but the protection was beginning to disappear. Psychologically, repeated crises can affect how people view themselves. Individuals may begin believing they are trapped inside patterns they cannot change. Regret grows, but so does hopelessness. Charlie often appeared confident in public, yet confidence and emotional stability are not always the same. The image of control can sometimes hide feelings of fear and uncertainty. The gap between the actor audiences admired and the man behind the headlines became wider. Questions started emerging. Could he regain control? Could his career survive? Could he find stability before the consequences became permanent? As these questions grew louder, a much larger collapse was waiting just ahead. And soon, the entire world would witness it unfold. Few celebrity struggles have unfolded as publicly as Charlie Sheen's. What had once been private concerns suddenly became front-page news. Television interviews, controversial statements, and unpredictable appearances placed him at the center of constant media attention. Millions watched as his behavior became increasingly difficult to understand. Some viewers felt concern. Others treated the situation as entertainment. The line between compassion and spectacle often disappeared. One of the most important moments during this period was his highly publicized departure from one of television's most successful shows. Years of professional achievement suddenly seemed uncertain. The industry that had once celebrated him now appeared to be moving away. For many people, losing a job is painful. For someone whose identity is deeply connected to fame and success, the experience can feel much larger. Work is not only employment. It becomes purpose, identity, and proof of personal value. Psychologists often explain that public failure can create feelings of shame and isolation. When mistakes happen in front of millions of people, the emotional impact can become overwhelming. The image of the untouchable star slowly disappeared. In its place stood a man facing consequences that wealth and fame could no longer prevent. The public continued to ask questions. Was this simply another controversy? Was recovery still possible? Or had Charlie reached a point where change had become impossible? As the headlines continued, another truth remained hidden, and eventually, Charlie would decide to reveal it himself. For years, rumors and speculation surrounded Charlie Sheen's health. Stories circulated, but very few people knew the full truth. Then came the moment that changed everything. Charlie publicly revealed that he had been living with HIV. The announcement shocked many people, not only because of the diagnosis itself, but because of the emotional honesty with which he spoke about it. The revelation immediately changed the conversation surrounding his life. Suddenly, many of his struggles were viewed through a different lens. Fear, stress, secrecy, and anxiety had been part of his daily life for years. Living